A black girl with a business class ticket? Gate agent Gregory Walsh holds up her passport at gate B32. 200 passengers watching. He sneers. You stole this from somebody, right? Your employer? Because girls like you should be cleaning planes, not sitting in business class. She doesn't speak, just stares at him. He takes that as guilt. Walsh grabs the passport with both hands, tears it down the middle. The rip echoes through the terminal. He tears it again and again, then throws every piece directly in her face. They hit her cheek, her forehead, one sticks in her hair. 200 people. Some laugh, some whisper and point, some actually smile. Nobody intervenes. What Walsh doesn't know, the woman he just humiliated has the power to destroy his career and ground his airline. What happens next will restore your faith in consequences. If you've ever wanted to see arrogance meet its reckoning, stay. Every second matters. Brianna Porter is tired. 3 days of spreadsheets, maintenance logs that don't match repair orders, safety violations somehow never making it into official reports. She's been a senior compliance auditor at the FAA for 4 years. She knows when an airline is cutting corners. She knows when they're buying time. Skybridge Airlines is buying time. Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, March 12th, 6:42 in the evening. Gate B32 smells like burnt coffee and stale pretzels. The air is thick. 200 passengers packed into a space designed for comfort when airlines still cared about comfort. Everyone's patience is fraying. The flight to Los Angeles is delayed. Again. Mechanical issue. Again. Brianna sends a text to her mom. Boarding soon. See you in 5 hours. Her mother's been asking her to come home for 6 months. Diabetes isn't getting better. The new medication makes her nauseous. Brianna promised she'd visit after the DC audit trip. She keeps her promises. She buys a turkey sandwich from the kiosk near gate B30. Doesn't eat it, just holds it. Her laptop bag weighs more than usual. 4 audit files, 3 of them flagged for follow-up. Skybridge's file is thickest. Rapid expansion, budget carrier. 38 routes in 18 months. The math doesn't work. Something subsidizing that growth. Either they're cutting maintenance or they're cutting people. Walsh has been with Skybridge for 15 years. Started as a ticket agent, worked his way up to senior gate agent. The kind of tenure that makes you untouchable. The kind of tenure that makes you forget you're not. His colleagues call him old school. That's code. It means he remembers when gate agents had real authority. It means he thinks the rules are suggestions. It means he's never had to answer for the way he treats people who don't look like they belong in first class. Gate B32's fluorescent lights buzz at a frequency that makes Brianna's temples ache. She closes her eyes, just for a second. When she opens them, Walsh is staring at her from behind the podium. Not at her carry-on, not at her boarding pass, at her. She doesn't know him. She's never flown Skybridge before. The FAA doesn't audit from inside the system. They audit from outside, anonymous, invisible. But Walsh sees something, or thinks he does. Brianna stands, smooths her blazer, walks to the podium. Her sneakers don't make noise on the terminal carpet. She's the 47th person in line. The boarding process is slow. Walsh checks every passport twice, every ticket 3 times, every bag like it's hiding contraband. The woman in front of Brianna, white, mid-50s, Hermes scarf, gets waved through in 8 seconds. Walsh doesn't ask her a single question. Brianna steps forward, hands him her boarding pass, then her passport. Walsh takes both, looks at the passport, looks at her, looks at the passport again. This doesn't look right. Brianna's stomach doesn't drop. It tightens. A small, specific kind of tightness that comes from knowing exactly what's about to happen and being powerless to stop it. She doesn't know that in 3 minutes, this man will make a decision that ends his career. She doesn't know that 200 people are about to become witnesses. She doesn't know that her FAA badge, tucked in the side pocket of her laptop bag, blue and white lanyard coiled tight, is about to become the most important piece of plastic she owns. Right now, she just knows one thing. He's not going to let her board. I need to check this again. Walsh's voice carries. The gate area goes quiet. Not silent, but quieter. The kind of quiet where people stop mid-conversation and pretend they're not listening. Brianna keeps her voice level. Is there a problem? You tell me. He's holding her passport at an angle, like he's inspecting a counterfeit bill under light, like he's trained in document forensics. He's not. It's a valid U.S. passport, Brianna says. Issued 18 months ago, renewed in Atlanta. You look pretty young to be traveling alone. She's 29. The passport says so. Right there, page 2, date of birth clearly printed. I'm an adult, she says, and I'd like to board my flight. Walsh sets the passport down, leans forward. His voice drops just enough to feel like a threat without sounding like one. I don't think this is real. 200 people, 200 pairs of eyes. Some are watching their phones, some are pretending to read, but everyone hears it. Everyone knows what's happening. A man in seat 12C, 34 years old, freelance travel blogger, phone already recording, angles his camera slightly to the left. He doesn't make it obvious. He doesn't need to. The angle's clear, the audio's clean. Her name is Tasha Williams. She's been live streaming travel content for 3 years. She knows a story when she sees one. Brianna doesn't raise her voice. This is a legitimate document. If you have concerns, you can call a supervisor. I don't need a supervisor. Then I'd like to board. Walsh picks up the passport, holds it in both hands. His thumbs press into the cover. Not hard. Not yet. I'm not letting you on this plane. The quiet gets louder. That specific kind of airport silence where everyone's holding their breath. On what grounds? Brianna asks. Document fraud. That's when he tears it. Not slowly, not carefully. Fast, decisive. Like he's done this before, like it's policy, like he has the authority. The sound, thin paper ripping, the crackle of laminated pages separating, cuts through the terminal noise. Once, twice, 3 pieces. Brianna watches her passport fall. Watches it hit the carpet in 3 separate parts. Watches Walsh drop them like evidence. No one moves. Not the woman in the Hermes scarf. Not the businessman with the carry-on briefcase. Not the young couple with the sleeping toddler. 200 people, no one says a word. 1. Tasha's phone is still recording. She doesn't zoom, doesn't pan, just holds steady. 90 seconds, gate B 32, March 12th, 6:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Brianna's hands don't shake. Her voice doesn't crack. She looks at Walsh, looks at the torn passport, looks back at Walsh. You just destroyed federal property. Walsh crosses his arms. You presented a fraudulent document. Security will handle it from here. That's when Brianna reaches into her laptop bag. Not fast, not sudden, slow, deliberate. She pulls out a blue and white lanyard. On the end, a badge. Federal Aviation Administration. Office of Aviation Safety. Employee ID hash FAA 8821CS. She doesn't hold it up, doesn't wave it around, just sets it on the counter, next to the torn passport. I'm Senior Compliance Auditor Brianna Porter, she says. Her voice is ice. I've been auditing your airline for the past 72 hours, and you just committed a federal offense in front of 200 witnesses. Walsh's face doesn't change, not immediately. It takes 3 seconds, 3 full seconds for his brain to catch up with his eyes. The gate area isn't quiet anymore. It's silent. The kind of silence that comes before everything falls apart. Brianna pulls out her phone. Doesn't dial 911. Doesn't call airport security. She dials a number most people don't have. The FAA Regional Director, direct line. It rings twice. This is Porter. I need to report an incident. Gate B32, Skybridge Airlines. Federal document destroyed by airline personnel. I'll need CCTV footage pulled immediately. She hangs up, looks at Walsh, waits. This is the moment where most people realize they've made a mistake. Walsh doesn't look like he realizes anything. He looks like a man who's been getting away with things for 15 years and doesn't understand why today is different. Tasha's video goes live at 6:47 p.m. By midnight, it has 500,000 views. By 8 a.m., 2.1 million. The algorithm doesn't care about context. It cares about outrage. And this video, 90 seconds, unedited, crystal clear audio, is pure outrage fuel. The comment section fills faster than Tasha can read them. Why is he so aggressive? This feels racial. Where's the supervisor? That's a federal crime. Some people ask if it's staged. Most people know it's not. You can't fake the sound of paper tearing. You can't fake 200 people holding their breath. The hashtag starts at 9:30 a.m. Hashgate Agent Gate. By noon, it's trending in 4 cities: Atlanta, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. Thomas Bailey sees the video at 10:15 a.m. He's a journalist, 38 years old, works for the Atlanta Tribune, specializes in aviation safety. He's written 47 articles about airline compliance violations in the past 3 years. He knows what corrupt looks like. He knows what careless looks like. This doesn't look like either. This looks like a pattern. Bailey watches the video 11 times. Something bothers him. It's not the tearing. It's not the crowd's silence. It's Walsh's confidence, the way he doesn't hesitate, the way he announces the accusation like he's reading from a script he's used before. Bailey's covered airline incidents for 6 years. He's never seen a gate agent destroy a passport. Not publicly, not without calling security first, not without at least pretending to follow protocol. He screenshots Walsh's name tag, runs a LinkedIn search. Gregory Walsh, Skybridge Airlines, 15 years, senior gate agent, 0 disciplinary actions listed, 0, in 15 years, at a budget airline. That's not normal. Budget airlines have high turnover, high complaint rates, high discipline rates. 15 years with a clean record means one of two things. Walsh is perfect or Walsh is protected. Bailey calls his source at the FAA, leaves a voicemail, calls again. On the third try, someone picks up. I need to know if Skybridge has had HR issues with gate staff, specifically discrimination complaints, specifically this guy. He texts the screenshot. His source, a woman named Elena Martinez, 45, Internal Affairs Division, 10 years with the agency, calls back in 20 minutes. You didn't hear this from me? I never do. Skybridge has had 23 complaints filed against Walsh in 3 years, all resolved internally, most settled with NDAs, none escalated to formal discipline. Bailey's pen stops moving. 23? 23. How is he still employed? Elena's quiet for 5 seconds. Union seniority. Management doesn't want an HR audit. It's cheaper to settle than investigate. Who are the complainants? I can't give you names without consent, but I can tell you this. 19 of 23 are women. 16 of 19 are women of color. Pattern's pretty clear. Bailey thanks her, hangs up, opens a new document, starts typing. By 2 p.m., he's contacted Brianna Porter via LinkedIn. His message is 3 sentences. I'm a journalist covering your incident at Gate B32. I have information about Walsh's history. Would you be willing to speak on record? Brianna doesn't respond immediately. She's in a meeting. FAA Regional Director, 2 attorneys, 1 HR representative. They're discussing next steps, discussing optics, discussing whether Brianna should file a formal complaint or let the agency handle it internally. Brianna checks her phone at 2:45 p.m., sees Bailey's message, clicks his profile, reads 3 of his articles, 1 about Southwest's maintenance backlog, 1 about Spirit's pilot scheduling violations, 1 about Delta's discrimination settlement. He's credible. He's careful. He doesn't sensationalize. She replies at 3:08 p.m. I'll speak, but use my name. Use my title. This isn't about me. It's about the 23 people before me. Bailey publishes at 5 p.m. The headline, FAA Auditor's Passport Destroyed by Gate Agent She Was Investigating. The article is 800 words. It includes Tasha's video. It includes Brianna's FAA credentials. It includes a statement from Skybridge's PR team. We are conducting an internal investigation. We take all allegations seriously. Generic, defensive, exactly what you say when you're buying time to figure out how bad it's going to get. By 5:15 p.m., CNN picks it up. By 5:30, it's on ABC, NBC, CBS. By 6 p.m., aviation bloggers are pulling Skybridge's safety records. By 7 p.m., someone finds the lobbying expenses. $340,000 paid to Capital Strategies LLC over 18 months. Line item, FAA Relations. Translation, Skybridge paid $350,000 to delay the exact audit Brianna was conducting. Skybridge's stock drops 4% in after-hours trading. The CEO, Kenneth Rhodes, 58, former hedge fund manager, 3 years running an airline, calls an emergency board meeting. Walsh goes home at 8 p.m., doesn't check his phone, doesn't watch the news, doesn't know that his face is on every major network, doesn't know that 2 million people have watched him destroy federal property, doesn't know that the woman whose passport he tore works for the agency that controls his airline's operating certificate. He thinks he's going to wake up tomorrow and go back to work like always. He thinks this will blow over like everything else. He's wrong. Bailey's article ends with one line. Porter's audit file on Skybridge was scheduled for review next month. That timeline has now been moved up, significantly. That's when most stories end. Villain exposed, victim vindicated, system wheels turning. But Brianna isn't interested in endings. She's interested in patterns, and Thomas Bailey just found 23 of them. The internet discovers Brianna's identity at 2 p.m. on March 13th, not through Bailey's article, through LinkedIn, through FAA's Public Employee Directory, through people who know how to read between lines and find the woman in the navy blazer. By 2:15 p.m., Twitter is on fire. Not with speculation, with receipts. Someone finds her FAA profile. Assignment order hash 2024 ATL 0892, signed by the regional director, dated March 9th, 3 days before the incident. The assignment, comprehensive safety and compliance audit of Skybridge Airlines, focusing on maintenance protocols, staffing adequacy, and customer service standards. Translation: Brianna wasn't just flying home. She was coming back from auditing the airline that just humiliated her. The narrative shifts. Fast. It's no longer gate agent tears up woman's passport. It's gate agent tears up passport of federal auditor investigating his airline. The difference matters. The first story is about one victim. The second story is about institutional accountability. Bailey updates his article at 2:30 p.m. Adds Brianna's assignment details. Adds a quote from an unnamed FAA source. Porter is one of the most thorough auditors in the Southeast region. If she flagged Skybridge, there's a reason. Skybridge's stock drops another 8%, 12% total, $83 million in market value, gone. The CEO's statement at 3 p.m. is 3 sentences longer than the first one, but says nothing new. We are cooperating fully with all relevant authorities. Employee actions do not reflect company values. We remain committed to safe and respectful service. Corporate speak, liability speak. The kind of language that sounds like an apology but admits nothing. Brianna doesn't watch the news. She's in another meeting. This one's different. FAA Deputy Administrator, Office of General Counsel, 2 investigators from Internal Affairs. They're not asking her to file a complaint anymore. They're telling her they're opening an investigation, with or without her cooperation. But they want her cooperation. We need your audit findings, the Deputy Administrator says. Everything you have on Skybridge. Maintenance logs, staffing records, complaint files, everything. Brianna's been doing this for 4 years. She knows what everything means. It means they're not looking at Walsh anymore. They're looking at the system that protected him. She hands over a flash drive. 3 years of data, 23 complaints flagged in HR records, 19 settled with NDAs, 4 dismissed without investigation, all involving Walsh, none resulting in discipline. The room goes quiet. You already knew, one of the investigators says. I flagged it in my preliminary report, Brianna says, 2 weeks ago, before the incident. That's the detail that changes everything. Brianna didn't start investigating Walsh after he tore her passport. She was already investigating him. The incident just made it public. The deputy administrator leans back. So he destroyed the passport of a federal auditor who was already building a case against him. Correct. And he did it in front of 200 witnesses and a live stream camera. The general counsel closes his folder. We're moving up the timeline. Full audit, 30 days. If Skybridge can't demonstrate compliance, we suspend their operating certificate. Brianna doesn't smile, doesn't celebrate, just nods. What about Walsh? Local PD has jurisdiction on the document destruction. We're coordinating with Atlanta prosecutors. But that's secondary. The primary issue is whether Skybridge knew about his pattern and did nothing. Brianna knows the answer. She's seen the emails. She hasn't shared them yet. She's saving them. Bailey calls her at 4 p.m. Can I ask you one question? 1. Why did you let him take your passport? You could have shown your FAA badge immediately. Brianna's quiet for 3 seconds. Because I wanted to see what he'd do. And now 2 million people saw it too. She hangs up. Not angry. Not triumphant. Just tired. This is what power looks like when you don't announce it. When you let someone hang themselves with their own rope. When you document everything and wait for the exact right moment to pull the thread. Walsh still doesn't know. He's at home, watching TV, thinking tomorrow will be normal, thinking he's untouchable. He's not. Bailey gets the CCTV footage on March 15th. Not from Skybridge, from TSA. From a source who's been waiting for someone to ask the right questions. The footage comes in 4 files, 4 different cameras, 4 angles of the same 90 seconds. Camera 1, ceiling mount, gate B32, wide shot, 200 passengers, Walsh at the podium, Brianna approaching. The crowd's stillness when the passport tears. Camera 2, podium mount, close-up, Walsh's hands, the rip, Brianna's face, no emotion, just cold, measured control. Camera 3, corridor angle, the line behind Brianna. Faces turning, phones rising. Tasha's phone, clear in frame, recording everything. Camera 4, security checkpoint 30 feet away. Distant but clear. Timestamp, 18 hours, 42 minutes and 18 seconds to 18 hours, 44 minutes and 33 seconds, EST 90 seconds. Uninterrupted. Bailey watches all 4. Syncs them, exports a split-screen version, posts it at 11 a.m. with one caption, 4 cameras, same moment, no ambiguity. The video gets 3 million views in 6 hours. But the CCTV footage isn't the story. It's confirmation. The real story is what Bailey finds next. Elena Martinez calls him at 2 p.m. "I'm sending you something. It's not official. It can't be traced back to me." Understood. 30 seconds later, an email arrives. Subject line, SB_incident_log_2021-2024.pdf. Bailey opens it. 147 pages. Every complaint filed against Skybridge employees in 3 years. Organized by employee ID number. Employee hash, SB 4109. Gregory Walsh, 23 entries. Bailey reads them, slowly, takes notes. Patterns emerge. Complaint 1, February 2021. Passenger, black woman, age 31, reports Walsh refused to accept her ID, called it suspicious, delayed boarding until supervisor overruled him. Resolution, informal coaching, no disciplinary action. Complaint 7, September 2023. Passenger, Latina woman, age 27, reports Walsh questioned her ticket validity, accused her of not looking like someone who flies business class. Required secondary verification. Resolution. Confidential settlement, $15,000, NDA signed. Complaint, 15 April 2023. Passenger, black woman, age 42, reports Walsh made comments about her passport photo not matching, required 2 forms of ID when policy requires 1. Resolution. Employee flagged for retraining. Settlement $8,200, NDA signed. 23 complaints, 19 involving women, 16 involving women of color. Average settlement $12,000. Total paid $276,000 over 3 years. Skybridge didn't fire Walsh. They paid people to stay quiet about him. Bailey pulls the financial records next. Public filings. Skybridge is a publicly traded company. Their lobbying expenses are on record. Q1 2023, Capital Strategies LLC, $82,000. Services. Legislative Consulting and Regulatory Liaison, Q2 2023, Capital Strategies LLC, $91,000. Services, FAA Compliance Coordination, Q3 2023, Capital Strategies LLC, $87,000. Services, Audit Timeline Management, Q4 2023, Capital Strategies LLC, $80,000. Services, Regulatory Relations, total $340,000 in 18 months. Bailey calls a source at Capital Strategies off the record. What does Audit Timeline Management mean? The source laughs. Not a happy laugh, a cynical one. It means they paid us to delay the FAA audit 3 times. We filed extension requests, cited operational changes, cited staffing transitions, cited mergers that weren't happening. Bought them 18 extra months. Is that legal? It's not illegal. It's just expensive. Bailey publishes the second article at 6 p.m. on March 15th. Headline, Skybridge paid $340K to delay the audit that would have caught their problem employee. The article includes the complaint log, the settlement amounts, the lobbying expenses, and one quote from Elena Martinez, attributed only as a federal official familiar with the case. Walsh was flagged for review in October 2022. Skybridge's management was notified. They chose not to act. Then they paid to defer the audit that would have forced them to act. That's the smoking gun, not Walsh's behavior, the company's decision to protect him. By 8 p.m., Skybridge's stock is down 18%. The board demands a meeting with the CEO. Investors are calling for accountability. Aviation safety groups are calling for investigation. Civil rights organizations are calling for systemic review. And Bailey isn't done. He finds the emails on March 16th, not through hacking, Through a whistleblower, someone inside Skybridge's HR department, someone who's been watching Walsh get away with it for 3 years, someone who's tired of signing NDAs and burying complaints. The whistleblower sends 12 emails, all from Skybridge's HR director to the VP of operations, all discussing Walsh, all discussing how to minimize exposure. Email dated June 2022. Walsh incident count now at 9. Recommend formal review. Legal advises documentation. Response, same day. Union will fight termination. Arbitration costs $200K plus. Settlements average $12K. Do the math. Keep settling. Email dated November 2022. FAA inquiring about employee complaint patterns. Walsh specifically mentioned. How do we respond? Response, acknowledge inquiry. Provide minimal data. Emphasize isolated incidents and immediate corrective action. Do not provide settlement figures or NDA details. Email dated March 2023. Walsh complaint #15. Passenger threatening lawsuit. This one might not settle quietly. Response, increase offer to $18K standard NDA. If she refuses, prepare for litigation. Cheaper than firing him and dealing with union grievance plus company-wide HR audit. Estimated cost, $2.3 million. That's the number that breaks the internet. $2.3 million. The cost of doing the right thing. Skybridge chose to pay $276,000 in settlements plus $340,000 in lobbying instead. Total, $616,000. Saved $1.7 million by protecting one employee. Bailey publishes the emails at 9 a.m. on March 17th. He redacts names of complainants. He redacts internal employee details, but he leaves the math visible. The article's headline, Skybridge chose profit over people 23 times. Here's the spreadsheet. By noon, the FAA issues a statement. In light of recent revelations, we are expediting our comprehensive review of Skybridge Airlines. Timeline, immediate. By 2 p.m., 3 law firms announced they're representing multiple complainants in a class action suit. By 4 p.m., Atlanta City Council member Victoria Grant, District 5, 41 years old, former civil rights attorney, calls for a public hearing. The hearing is scheduled for March 25th, 10 days away. If you've ever wondered whether systems can change, stay with this. The next piece of evidence isn't just damaging, it's disqualifying. Walsh hires a lawyer on March 18th, Benson & Cole, LLP, Atlanta's most expensive defense firm, the kind of firm that doesn't ask if you're guilty, they ask if you can pay. The cease and desist letter arrives at Bailey's office via FedEx. Overnight. Priority, 14 pages. The core message fits in one sentence. Cease publication of defamatory material or face litigation for damages exceeding $5 million. Bailey reads it once, forwards it to his editor. His editor forwards it to the Tribune's legal team. Their response takes 2 hours. Ignore it. Everything you published is documented fact. Let them sue. Walsh's attorney sends a second letter to Brianna. This one's shorter, 9 pages. The threat's more direct. Your public statements constitute abuse of federal authority and misuse of privileged information. Cease immediately or face personal liability. Brianna reads it at her kitchen table. Doesn't call a lawyer. Calls her supervisor at the FAA. Reads the letter aloud over the phone. Her supervisor's response, forward it to Office of General Counsel. You're covered under whistleblower protection. He can threaten all he wants. Federal law says he can't touch you. Brianna forwards the email. Goes back to work. But Walsh's legal threats aren't the only counterattack. On March 19th, Brianna starts receiving emails. Anonymous. Sent from disposable addresses. Subject lines like, think twice, and you're making a mistake, and people who push too hard get hurt. Nothing explicitly violent, just implications. Just enough to make her check her locks twice before bed. She documents everything. Screenshots, timestamps, forwards them to the FBI's cyber division. They open a case file, case number ATL 2024-088221C. Skybridge's PR strategy shifts on March 20th. They're not denying anymore. They're deflecting. A statement released at 10 a.m. While we acknowledge past settlements, these cases involved individual employee actions, not company policy. We have zero tolerance for discrimination. Zero tolerance. Except they tolerated it 23 times. The media doesn't buy it. Aviation bloggers tear the statement apart within minutes. One blogger calculates the math. 23 complaints over 3 years equals 1 every 47 days. That's not isolated incidents, that's a pattern. Skybridge tries again at 2 p.m. Another statement. Longer, more detailed, less convincing. Gregory Walsh's employment status is under review. We are committed to a thorough and fair investigation. Under review. Not terminated, not suspended. Under review. Corporate code for we're waiting for this to blow over. It's not blowing over. On March 21st, Walsh's attorney holds a press conference. Walsh doesn't speak. His lawyer does. The message is simple. Our client followed security protocol. He had reasonable suspicion to verify documentation. The passenger's subsequent actions, revealing her federal employment, do not retroactively justify her initial non-compliance. It's a lie. But it's a lawyer's lie, phrased carefully, designed to create doubt. Bailey publishes a response article in 90 minutes. Walsh's attorney claims protocol. Here's Skybridge's actual protocol. The article includes Skybridge's official gate agent manual, Section 4.3, Document Verification. The policy is 2 paragraphs. Key line, if documentation appears valid, process the passenger. If concerns exist, contact a supervisor. Under no circumstances should gate agents destroy or confiscate passenger documents. Walsh violated policy. In writing, with witnesses, on camera. Brianna doesn't watch the press conference. She's at work. Normal day, normal audit, different airline. She's reviewing maintenance logs for a regional carrier when her phone rings. It's her mother, voice shaking. Baby, are you okay? I'm fine. Why? Someone called the house, said you should stop causing trouble, said people who make noise get silenced. Brianna's hand tightens on the phone. What number? Blocked. I called you right after. Brianna reports it. FBI adds it to the case file. They trace the call. Disposable phone. Purchased with cash in Atlanta. No leads. That night, Brianna's mother calls again. Different tone. Scared, but not for herself. Honey, is this worth it? You've made your point. Maybe it's time to let the system handle it. Brianna doesn't answer right away. She's thinking about complaint number 7. The woman who settled for $15,000 and signed an NDA. The woman who probably still remembers the humiliation. Who probably still wonders if anyone believed her. It's worth it, Brianna says, because if I stop, number 24 happens, and she'll be alone. Her mother's quiet for 5 seconds. Then, okay, but promise me you're being careful. I promise. She's not sure she can keep that promise, but she makes it anyway. Walsh's attorney files a defamation suit on March 22nd against Bailey, against the Tribune, against Brianna personally, $10 million in damages. The lawsuits don't scare Bailey. They don't scare Brianna. They're designed to exhaust resources, to make continuing more expensive than stopping. But Bailey's paper has legal insurance. Brianna has federal protection, and neither of them is interested in stopping. The city council hearing is 3 days away. Skybridge has 3 days to prepare a defense. Walsh has 3 days to figure out if his career survives. Brianna has 3 days to decide if she's ready to testify in public. She already knows the answer. She's been ready since Walsh tore her passport. She's been ready since she saw the complaint log. She's been ready since she realized the system protects longevity over accountability. This is when most people fold, when the threats get personal, when the lawyers get expensive, when the pressure gets unbearable. Brianna's not most people. March 23rd, 11 p.m. Brianna sits alone in her apartment. The lights are off. The TV is on, but muted. CNN is running a segment about the incident. Her face is on screen. Walsh's face next to hers. Split screen. Victim and accused. The visual makes her stomach turn. She doesn't watch. She's reading. The complaint log. All 23 entries. Elena sent her the full file. Not just summaries, full statements. Names redacted, but details intact. Complaint number 2. February 2021. A woman describes Walsh calling her ID ghetto because it was from Mississippi. Describes him holding her boarding pass just out of reach. Describes him laughing when she asked for a supervisor. She settled for $8,000, signed an NDA, never flew Skybridge again. Complaint number 11, December 2022. A woman describes Walsh saying she didn't look like she could afford first class and demanding to see her credit card. She was a software engineer, paid for the ticket herself, settled for $12,000, signed an NDA, wrote in her statement, "I just want this to be over." Complaint number 19, June 2023. A woman describes Walsh pulling her aside, asking if she was traveling on someone else's ticket, implying she was a sex worker. She was a doctor, flying to a medical conference. She didn't settle. She demanded an apology. Skybridge offered $18,000 instead. She took it, signed an NDA. Wrote at the bottom of her statement, "I'm sorry, I can't fight this alone." Brianna reads all 23. Some are 2 pages, some are 8. All of them end the same way. Settlement, NDA, silence. Her phone buzzes. Text from her mother. "Can't sleep. Worried about you. Call when you can." Brianna calls. Her mother answers on the first ring. "You okay, baby?" "I'm tired. I know, I've been watching the news. They're saying awful things." "Like what?" "Like you're using your position to get revenge. Like you're making it about race when it's about policy. Like you're destroying a man's life over a mistake." Brianna closes her eyes. "It wasn't a mistake. He's done it 22 times before me." "I know, but people don't want to hear that. They want simple stories. Bad guy, good guy, over. This isn't simple. No, it's not." Brianna hears her mother's breathing change, the way it does when her blood sugar drops, the way it's been changing more often since January. "Mom, did you take your medication?" "I did, I'm fine, I'm worried about you. This is getting big, bigger than one person should carry." Brianna doesn't answer. She's looking at complaint number 7 again. The woman who settled for $15,000, the woman who wrote, "I felt invisible, like I didn't matter, like the system was designed to make me go away. Baby, are you still there? I'm here. Is it worth it, really?" Brianna thinks about Gate B32, about 200 people watching her passport tear, about 200 people who said nothing, about how she felt in that moment, not invisible but erased. How Walsh looked at her like she was a problem to be solved, a nuisance, a liar. "It's worth it," she says, "because if I stop, the 24th woman walks up to that podium alone, and no one will believe her either." Her mother is quiet. Then, "Okay, then don't stop, but promise me something." "What?" "Don't lose yourself in this. Don't let anger turn you into what you're fighting against." "I won't. I love you. I love you too." Brianna hangs up, sits in the dark, thinks about the hearing in 2 days, thinks about facing Walsh in a public forum, thinks about whether justice is worth the cost. Then she thinks about the 8th woman, the one who emailed her 3 hours ago. Subject line, "I'm #8. Can I help?" The email is 4 paragraphs. The woman, 52 years old, sales executive, incident from 2021, says she's been following the news. Says she signed an NDA, but she's willing to break it if it helps. Says she's been carrying shame for 3 years and she's ready to put it down. 8 women, 23 complaints. 1 chance to change the pattern. Brianna opens her laptop, starts typing. Not a response to the email. A statement for the hearing. 4 minutes long, every word chosen carefully. She doesn't write about revenge. She writes about accountability. She doesn't write about Walsh. She writes about systems that protect the wrong people. This is when most people quit, when exhaustion wins, when the cost feels too high. Brianna almost does. Almost. But then she thinks about the 8th woman, and she keeps writing. The 8th woman's name is Charlotte Davis. She's 52, lives in Savannah, hasn't flown since the incident in 2021. She emails Brianna at 11:47 p.m. on March 23rd. By 9 a.m. on March 24th, 7 more women have reached out. Different cities, different years, same pattern. Woman number 1, 24 years old. Incident 2021. Walsh questioned her student visa, made her miss her flight. Settlement, $8,000. Woman number 2, 31 years old. Incident 2021. Walsh accused her of using a fake credit card for her ticket. Settlement, $9,500. Woman number 3, 28 years old. Incident 2022. Walsh said her passport photo didn't match because she'd cut her hair. Settlement, $11,000. Woman number 4, 39 years old. Incident 2022. Walsh demanded 2 forms of ID when policy requires 1. Settlement, $15,000. Woman number 5, 42 years old. Incident 2023. Walsh questioned whether she really worked at the company on her business card. Settlement, $14,000. Woman number 6, 35 years old. Incident 2023. Walsh pulled her out of line, searched her carry-on without cause. Settlement, $12,000. Woman number 7, 27 years old, incident 2023. Walsh said she didn't look like someone who flies business class. Settlement, $15,000. Woman number 8, Charlotte Davis, 52 years old, incident 2021. Walsh questioned her ID validity, held her boarding pass until the flight left. Settlement, $8,200, 8 women, 8 NDAs, 8 people told to stay quiet and move on. They're done being quiet. Bailey connects them with Dr. Raymond Cooper, aviation attorney, 62 years old, 30 years practicing law, specializes in discrimination cases against airlines. He's won 43 settlements. He's tired of settlements. He wants precedent. Cooper reviews their cases in 2 days, finds the loophole in the NDAs. The agreements prohibit discussing specific settlement terms. They don't prohibit testifying about the underlying incidents, especially when there's a pattern of illegal behavior. Cooper calls each woman, explains the risk, explains the process, explains that breaking an NDA even legally will make them targets. Media, lawyers, online harassment, all 8 say yes. By March 24th at 6 p.m., Cooper has compiled their statements. 47 pages. Testimonies from 8 women across 3 years, all involving Walsh, all following the same script: suspicious documentation, unwarranted delays, humiliating questions, settlements paid, silence bought. Bailey publishes excerpts at 8 p.m., not full statements, just enough to show the pattern. Headline: they paid 8 women to stay silent, now they're speaking. The article goes viral faster than Tasha's video. 4 million views in 3 hours. An online petition starts at 9 p.m., organized by a civil rights group in Atlanta. The demand: City Council must investigate Skybridge's systemic discrimination and recommend FAA action. By midnight, 18,000 signatures. By 6 a.m., 43,000. By noon on March 25th, the day of the hearing, 89,000 signatures. The hearing is scheduled for 2 p.m. Victoria Grant, the council member hosting it, expects maybe 50 people to attend. Her office gets 200 RSVPs. The chamber holds 120. They open overflow rooms with video feed. Brianna arrives at 1:30 p.m. She's not alone. 8 women walk in with her. 8 women who were supposed to stay invisible. 8 women who chose solidarity over silence. Walsh arrives at 1:45 p.m. He's alone. His lawyer is beside him, but Walsh is alone. You can see it in his face. The realization that this isn't going away, that consequences are coming. The hearing starts at 2 p.m. The room is full. Cameras are rolling. The internet is watching. This is when the system either changes or reveals itself. No middle ground, no more NDAs, no more quiet settlements, just testimony, just truth, just accountability. Finally, after 23 chances to do it quietly. The hearing opens with procedural statements. Victoria Grant reads the agenda, standard process, but everyone knows this isn't standard. At 2:17 p.m., Bailey's phone buzzes. Email from Elena Martinez. Subject line: you need to see this, now. He opens it. 1 attachment. PDF. 6 pages. Internal FAA memo. Dated October 2022, 18 months before the incident. The memo's header: Skybridge Airlines employee conduct concerns escalation recommended. Bailey reads it while Cooper is presenting the 8 women's testimony. His hand starts shaking at page 3. The memo outlines 15 complaints against Walsh as of October 2022. Notes a clear pattern. Recommends formal disciplinary action. Recommends Skybridge implement mandatory bias training. Recommends FAA monitor the situation closely. Then, page 4. The response from Skybridge's VP of Operations. Acknowledge FAA concern. Inform them corrective action is underway. Do not specify timeline or methods. Union will challenge any formal discipline. Termination would trigger company-wide HR audit per union contract. Estimated cost $2.3 million. Current settlement strategy is more cost-effective. Continue present course. Page 5. FAA's follow-up dated November 2022. Request formal action plan from Skybridge within 30 days. If not received, escalate to Regional Director for potential audit acceleration. Page 6. Skybridge's response dated December 2022. Action plan in development. Request 90-day extension due to operational restructuring. The extension was granted. Then another. 3 extensions over 18 months. Each one bought with Capital Strategies lobbying fees. each one pushing the audit further down the calendar. Walsh was flagged. The FAA knew. Skybridge knew. And they chose to do nothing because doing something cost $2.3 million. Bailey stands up, interrupts Cooper mid-sentence. Councilmember Grant, I just received evidence that needs to be entered immediately. Grant looks annoyed. Then she sees Bailey's face. Approach. Bailey hands her his phone. She reads the memo. Her expression changes, from annoyed to shocked to furious in 15 seconds. She looks at the Skybridge representatives in the room. 2 lawyers, 1 PR consultant, no CEO. Kenneth Rhodes didn't come. Did your company receive this memo from the FAA? Grant asks. The senior lawyer stands. We'd need to review our records. It's dated October 2022, addressed to your VP of Operations. I'm asking if you received it. We receive many communications from regulatory. Yes or no? The lawyer looks at his colleague, looks at the PR consultant, looks back at Grant. Yes. And did you take the recommended action? Silence. Did you discipline employee Walsh as recommended? We implemented internal procedures. Did you discipline him? We chose alternative remediation strategies that we felt. No. The answer is no. Grant's voice is ice. You received a federal recommendation to discipline an employee with a pattern of discriminatory behavior. You ignored it. Then you paid a lobbying firm $340,000 to delay the audit that would have forced you to act. Is that accurate? The lawyer doesn't answer. Let the record show Skybridge's counsel declined to respond. Grant looks at the camera, looks at Brianna, looks at the 8 women. This isn't about one gate agent anymore. This is about a company that chose profit over people, then paid to cover it up. She turns to her fellow council members. I'm calling for an immediate vote. This council formally requests the FAA conduct an emergency comprehensive audit of Skybridge Airlines with specific focus on HR practices, complaint resolution procedures, and executive accountability. All in favor? 9 hands go up. Unanimous. Motion passes. The request will be transmitted to the FAA regional director within the hour. The room erupts, not with applause, with murmuring, with the sound of 200 people realizing they just watched a system held accountable in real time. Bailey texts Elena, "Thank you." Her response, "Some of us still believe in doing the right thing." Walsh's lawyer leans over, whispers something. Walsh's face goes pale. He knows. Finally, he knows. This isn't going away. This is just beginning. The hearing continues. But the outcome's already decided. Not by testimony, not by emotion. By a memo dated 18 months ago that proves negligence wasn't accidental. It was financial. Brianna testifies at 3:14 p.m. She doesn't read from notes, doesn't use slides, just speaks. 4 minutes, 98 seconds longer than the video that started this. My name is Brianna Porter. I'm a senior compliance auditor for the Federal Aviation Administration. I've worked in aviation safety for 4 years. Before that, I studied aerospace engineering at Georgia Tech. I love airplanes. I love the idea that we've built systems that let us move through the world safely. That's why this hurts. She pauses, not for effect, because the next part is hard. On March 12th, Gregory Walsh tore up my passport. He did it because he didn't think I belonged. He did it because he's done it before and nothing happened. He did it because the system protected him 23 times. But here's what he didn't know. I wasn't there by accident. I was there because I'd been investigating his airline for 3 days. I'd found maintenance violations, staffing inadequacies, a pattern of complaints buried under NDAs. She looks at Walsh. He doesn't look back. I didn't ground Skybridge Airlines. They grounded themselves. Every time they chose a settlement over accountability, every time they paid lobbyists instead of fixing problems, every time they calculated that buying silence was cheaper than buying integrity, I just stopped pretending it wasn't happening. The room is silent. I didn't ask for power, but I won't waste it. 23 women came before me. Most of them stayed silent because they had to. 8 of them are here today because they chose not to. I'm here because someone has to say it. No amount of money, no amount of lobbying, no amount of legal threats changes what happened. And what happened is simple. A company chose profit. A man chose cruelty. And the system let them. She closes her folder. Looks at the council. I'm not asking for revenge. I'm asking for accountability, real accountability. The kind that changes policy. The kind that makes the next gate agent think twice. The kind that tells the 24th woman she won't be alone. She sits down. The room stays quiet for 3 seconds. Then someone starts clapping. Then everyone. Not loud, not triumphant, just steady, acknowledgement, respect. Walsh's attorney tries to respond. Starts with, "My client maintains..." Grant cuts him off. "Your client can maintain whatever he wants. The memo speaks for itself. The complaints speak for themselves. 23 women speak for themselves. This hearing is not about whether your client is guilty. That's for prosecutors. This hearing is about whether this counsel believes Skybridge Airlines is operating in the public interest. And based on the evidence presented, the answer is no." She looks at the camera, addresses it directly. "The FAA will receive our formal request within the hour. Skybridge Airlines has 30 days to demonstrate full compliance with federal regulations, HR standards, and basic human decency. If they fail, this council will recommend full suspension of their operating certificate. No extensions, no lobbying, no more buying time." She bangs the gavel. "This hearing is adjourned." Walsh stands, walks toward the exit. Doesn't look at Brianna, doesn't look at the 8 women, just leaves. His lawyer follows. Brianna stays seated. The 8 women surround her. No words, just presence, just solidarity. Bailey watches from the press section, takes notes, knows the story isn't over, but knows this moment, this 4-minute testimony, this unanimous vote, this public acknowledgement, changes everything. At 5:43 p.m., the FAA Regional Director receives the council's formal request. At 11:08 p.m., the legal team finishes drafting the order. At 6 a.m. the next morning, March 26th, Skybridge's Operations Center receives a notification they've dreaded for 18 months. The order is 4 pages. Page 1, paragraph 1. Effective immediately, Skybridge Airlines operating certificate is conditionally suspended. All expansion routes grounded. All existing operations subject to daily compliance review. Timeline for full review, 30 days. Failure to meet standards will result in complete suspension of operations. By 8:30 a.m., 73 flights are canceled. All expansion routes. Atlanta to Seattle, Atlanta to Portland, Atlanta to Austin, gone. By 10 a.m., Kenneth Rhodes resigns. The board doesn't fight it. The CEO who chose profit over people gets severance and silence. The employees who did nothing wrong get uncertainty. By noon, every major airline in America is reviewing their HR complaint logs, because if it happened to Skybridge, it can happen to anyone. Walsh's termination letter is dated March 25th, 11:47 p.m., 3 hours after the hearing. Terminated for cause, effective immediately for violations of company policy, federal regulations, and basic human decency. 15 years, gone in one sentence. Brianna lands in Los Angeles 4 days later. Her mom waits at the gate. The gate agent, a woman in her 50s, looks at her new passport, smiles, says, "Welcome home, ma'am." No questions, no drama, just respect. Her mom asks, "Was it worth it?" Brianna looks at the departures board. 13 Skybridge flights, still flying, under watch. "Ask me in 30 days, she says, then quieter. "Ask the 8th woman. She already knows. If you believe one person can't stop a system, you just heard the opposite. 73 flights, one order, one woman who refused to be invisible. Like if you believe accountability has teeth. Subscribe if you want more stories about quiet power defeating loud wrong. And comment, have you ever witnessed someone abuse authority and face no consequences? This is a safe space to tell that truth. So, 225 underscore 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 underscore